Welcome to Travel Market Life, your companion for industry insights and professional business development. Travel Market Life. Join us by webcast, video or podcast.
Hello and welcome back to Travel Market Life. I'm your host Ryan Haynes, and in today's episode we're going to be looking at hotel analytics. Now at Travel Market Life we've been looking very closely at our data and the episodes that are in demand, and it seems to be all about data. So of course it was essential for us to go and speak to those that are working very closely with analytics and data to enable hospitality companies to grow. So in this episode we're going to be speaking to Alex Medavoy, the CEO of Altexsoft. We're going to look at the value of analytics, the approach dependent on accommodation or category type, and the impact on revenue.
Travel Market Life.
Joining me now is Alex Medavoy from Altexsoft. Thanks ever so much for joining me today, Alex. Now, hotel analytics, it's a big thing. A lot of focus is going into that area. What is for hotel analytics and the value it's providing hotels?
First of all, thank you, Ryan. It's a big honor and privilege for me to be at the podcast, and thanks for inviting. And we're very pleased to share some of the things that we've been working on for the years. So basically, jumping straight to the question, data analytics, as how we see it, is an important discipline for the hospitality industry because it helps businesses in this sector to better understand the customers and make more informed and reasonable decisions. And by analyzing data about their guests, hotels and the other hospitality businesses can gain valuable insights into customer behavior and preferences. And this information can be used to improve the customer experience, optimize pricing and promotions, and increase revenues. Because obviously during the customer journey, travelers leave a lot of digital footprints at various points, such as when you book either through OTA or directly, when you check in, when you complete your post-stay surveys, etc. So any action taken by the tourist or front office manager or even housekeeper, such as booking a room or marking a room clean or making payment, everything creates data. And so these footprints, they can provide valuable insights for everybody, and first and foremost for hoteliers to better first understand their demography, the demographics of their customers, and second, improve the customer's experience. And the third and most important thing, actually, to drive hopefully additional business. So for example, data analytics can help a hotel to understand which amenities and services are most popular for the guests. This information can be used to improve the guest experience by making sure that the hotel has enough staff on hand to provide the services, or by offering any additional amenities that guests will appreciate. Additional data analytics can be used to identify trends in customers' behavior and preferences from very basic, such as the times of the year when a hotel is most likely to be fully booked. And usually hoteliers, they know that, but they also can dig very deep into the details using the analytics and make these predictions much more sophisticated, and not just sophisticated, but much more precise. So this information can be used further to set prices and promotions accordingly, helping hotel obviously to maximize their revenue.
And I was going to say that there's a lot of places where you can get data. I mean, so many systems within the hotel tech stack, from property management through to, as you say, the data that's generated through your channel manager for where the bookings are coming from, through to the CRM and your email campaigns, or from social media. There's a lot of places that you need to consolidate that data. And I guess that need, that framework is going to be different depending on the type of hotel property, whether you're an independent hotel or a large hotel chain. Is there quite a difference between how different sized businesses manage data? Because I guess that there's huge differences in the volume that you're dealing with here as well.
Yeah, that's correct, and I would probably add a few more cents into this question. So when it comes to analytical tools for hotels, there are a large number of ready-made solutions, and we have to realize that. So, though many hotel systems have built-in analytics tools, their capabilities may be limited or restricted to solving very narrow tasks in a particular niche. And to your point, basically, for the large hotel, the situation can often be the following. They obviously use some ready-made existing solutions. However, because of the scale of the hotels and different data sources, and also aligning all that with a number of goals and objectives, there's probably no unique out of pocket, let's say, tools that can solve all this. So usually big chains, they combine something ready-made, plus they do some custom modules on top. While we are speaking about smaller hotels, usually even smaller hotels, and nowadays they use PMSs, right? So basically, what is usually used as some kind of analytics module that is pre-built into the PMS. But obviously, well, we've been working at this market for the last 15 years. I would say that I know zero PMSs with brilliant analytics module that is going to be covering everything. So we usually see the situation when, even though the smaller hotels and hoteliers, they stick to some PMS, they usually either buy a combination of the ready-made solutions, and they're kind of topping, I would say, the PMS, or they build something custom tailored specifically for their needs.
I mean, yeah, oh, absolutely. Because one of our podcasts that we did last year with Sayus Hospitality did exactly that, working with Seahut PMS. Although Seahut has a business insights platform, Sayus actually drew so much of that data from the property management system to create very specific visualizations of that data for the staff. So as you say, Alex, there's so much data in a PMS. Is the PMS actually able to deliver a sophisticated analytics tool that's needed and is intuitive for all parts, all staff within the workforce that actually needs to use it? And I guess at the same time, is it able to surface the right data so you can make those commercial gains? What do you see at Altexsoft as essential when it comes to the data that you can really commercialize and making that accessible to people within the hotel so that they can see the trends, see the hotel performance, and actually make some informed decisions?
First, it really depends on the examples of what kind of business problem are we going to solve. For example, if our hotel has a strong focus on customer loyalty and customer relationship management, it's kind of one set of data. If our hotel is focused obviously more on driving new customers, it's another set of data. Again, business model. We know that all the hotels, they would like to maximize for their customers to use multiple amenities and activities, but some of the hotels are still not yet there, so they're not making too much money of that. Some of them are. So basically, depends. Like the answer to your question is gonna be it depends. But as for our experience, I would probably break all the data down into four like kind of big buckets, if you wish, and cases. And I would associate some use cases with that buckets of data. So first and foremost, I would probably start with customer segmentation and targeting. And the data associated with that type of segment, if you wish. Usually you build some custom analytics module that could help the hotel to understand its customers base and segment them to different groups based on the factors, and not very obvious factors, So let's say not like customers that come from some geography, but mostly customers by demographics or booking history on some spending patterns. So something really more sophisticated than just, segmenting, like taking an Excel and saying, hey, I'm gonna check all the customers that came to me from France or from China, whatever. So, and definitely when it comes to like more sophisticated customer segmentation, uh, this then could be used to tailor marketing and sales efforts for the different segment and increase the revenues, obviously. Now, second big bucket, I would say, is sales and revenue optimization itself. And usually the analytics module could help the hotel to understand which factors are driving bookings and revenues, and then identify the opportunities to optimize pricing, inventory management, and, and other factors to maximize the revenues. The third thing is actually the third bucket, I would say, is about marketing and I would call it campaign analysis. So the module could be used to analyze the effectiveness of marketing campaigns, identify the channels that drive the most of the bookings on volume or the most marginal bookings, and then help hotel to allocate marketing budget more effectively, or adjust the campaigns, or just at all refocus the efforts. We all know that direct bookings bring us typically more revenues. That makes sense. But what kind of campaign is going to be the more effective, the most efficient for us in driving the direct booking component, right? Now the fourth bucket, and probably the last one, but no, not the least, obviously, is operational efficiency. So the module can be used, and custom analytics basically could be used to analyze data from different systems. So you take not only from the PMS, but also from the system that helps you to maintain, from your to maintain the property, obviously, from everything that you are buying for the property, and identify the inefficiencies and opportunities for process improvement. Let me give you an example. For one of our clients, uh, based on the data that they started collecting, and based on the data that they, so basically their internal data. So uh, their average booking was very short. That means that they had to change the beddings very often, and they had a few properties around, and they used to use the outsourcing firm that was doing this job for them. This actually led them to building a huge custom facility that they started using for laundry, and it brought them, I believe, over 1.2 million in EBITDA in the first year, and over 3 million in the EBITDA for the second year. And the ROI was kind of just out of it just blew the mind, blew the mind, basically. And this is very interesting experience from our perspective, just practical use case.
It's absolutely fascinating, as you say. I mean, firstly, is defining that objective. Okay, yeah, of course, we want every single aspect of business to be efficient and to be money generating, or to be bank balancing, or just to sort of be at to optimize efficiencies. But you can't do all of those things at once. You've got to tackle one battle at a time. And as you say, sort of, are you looking at maximizing the income from your existing customers? Are you looking at growing your new customer base, or are you looking at optimizing existing expenses and reducing those costs? And I spoke to Turtle Bay a couple of years ago and to Best Western just recently about how they've used their own customer data to really target high value customers and keep bringing in those return customers and help them identify where their new customers could be coming from. And then that's the value of really getting to understand your data, centralizing that data and making sure that data is working effectively for you. Now, you've touched specifically on one of those 4 buckets around revenue. I mean, it's a big topic at the moment around how can we maximize revenue? How can we drive greater efficiencies within revenue? So tell me, Alex, how do hotel analytics solutions improve the efficiency of the revenue management function within the hotel?
Again, we all know one of the key benefits of revenue management, it's allow businesses to make more precise predictions about demands. And based on that more precise prediction, you can actually play with the pricing. By playing with that pricing, you actually maximize revenue from the same basically number of rooms. It's a well-known case on the market with the Marriott's approach to revenue management. And this was an additional module. They called it internally dynamic pricing automation that actually allowed them to predict demand, and not only demand, but also pattern of customers' behavior. Using that, they just increased their revenue per room for around, if I don't mistake, around 5% in 1 year.
Now, Alex, you've actually been working on your own hotel analytics solution at Altexsoft, and it's quite interesting the sort of results and the impact that it's had. Can you tell us about your developments that you've made?
Yeah, there are quite a few, but if narrowing down to one, I would probably focus on our case for Rakuten Travel, created by the Japanese giant electronic company Rakuten. It's like Japanese Amazon, if you wish. And so they engaged us to create a revenue optimization algorithm for a hotel. So they have a bunch of systems. Most of them have been built internally by their own team, but they actually missed that very component. And the client approached us with a request to develop a solution that could suggest early booking prices for accommodations. And what was even more interesting, they had an internal team working in parallel on the same task. So we worked and they worked. And in order to address that issue, we implemented a strategy that involved eliminating of all the reservations made within a certain time frame, and then built a lot of things internally, and actually created a custom algorithm that helped to analyze all that. Basically, what we get as a result, this allowed us to provide more accurate recommendations for early booking prices. And what was even more interesting, even though our algorithm was obviously more sophisticated and took longer time than the one that was built by the internal team, but there was a clear value. We enabled revenue managers to track how variations in pricing actually affect occupancy and adjust the starting prices to maximize the revenues. And in order to help revenue managers to optimize their pricing strategies and maximize their revenues, we implemented a system that allowed them to track the impact of pricing fluctuations on occupancy rates. So basically narrowing this down, what happened? The pricing fluctuations, there was a clear result in the occupancy rates. And with that tool, revenue managers were able to see how changes in pricing are going to differentiate and affect the number of rooms that are booked, and then use that information to adjust their starting prices accordingly. So we treat this, and we think that was a pretty successful project for the customers, keeping in mind that they are using that very actively in their business. So, and at their scale, obviously, because they manage over 20,000 properties, that brought them, as far as we're hundreds of millions. So obviously worth it.
Alex, we've explored quite a bit already in this short conversation around hotel analytics, how it can be used, and the different methods of deployment, as well as the revenue management opportunities from that data. So it's been really interesting to learn more about that from you today. So thank you ever so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Ryan, and it's our big privilege to be on the podcast and share some of the insights.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Alex, for joining us today. That was Alex Mendevoy from Altexsoft, the CEO of the Travel and Hospitality Technology Consulting Company, working with travel agents, travel management solutions, and hospitality businesses. Check out more of our podcasts on travelmarket.life, and you'll see a whole host of interviews that we've had related to data and analytics that will really complement the conversation that I've had with Alex here today. Thanks for listening. Speak to you soon. Ciao for now.
For more, go to Travel Market Life. The music sensation by Zach Nelson is reproduced under license from Storyblocks. Travel Market Life is a Haynes Marcoms digital marketing agency production, serving the travel and technology industries.